good morning, and happy Sunday. Welcome to this Happiness is Real morning show. I'm your host, Camilla Calberg, founder of Calberg Coaching and transformational coach. This episode is brought to you by Calberg Coaching, where we help executives find a better life on the other side of divorce. To learn more and book a discovery conversation, go to www.calbergcoaching.com. And now let's go into today's episode. I am so happy to have Despina Meridio with me, and I'm so excited to get into the topic of how a toxic family environment, a co-parenting project, can affect our children if we are not aware and we don't have the right strategy and tools to change that very toxic environment that will affect our children. And it's why I also bring this topic onto you and Despina is I want to create more awareness around it when you are either going through a difficult divorce, stuck in a toxic relationship, or actually have divorced but you haven't found peace. It's so important. I've been there myself, and that's why I want to cast more light on this topic. And Despina is not only a favorite and not a favorite, you're a dear friend of mine, but you're also a mediator, and you have written this amazing book, Despina, Mom, Dad, Can You Hear Me? And I'm so pleased and to welcome you to this show. So with no further ado, welcome, Despina.
Hi, Camilla. Thank you very much for this invitation. It's always a pleasure to talk with you about these important issues. And as you said, for me, it's very important to raise awareness about the co-parenting plan and how important it is to create a peaceful environment for the kid. And yes, in my case, I had experienced divorce as a kid when my parents separated when I was approximately 10 years old. The divorce was issued after 2 years when I was, I think, 12 or 13, more or less. But the problem was that even though the documents of the court were issued and everything was finalized, my parents actually for many years, they couldn't agree on anything. They couldn't have a peaceful co-parenting plan. And it was always a problem when I will see my dad, how long I will stay, what did we say, who pays more money for the school, for our activities, because it was also my sister, but my sister was much younger than me. So because I was the big sister, I had to protect her. And actually, many times I had to be the adult in the room. Because my parents had me in the middle, and I was doing the mediator as a kid, and this is very, very difficult because actually for the kid it's very difficult to hear accusations. When the parents are starting to accuse each other is one of the worst things that they can do in front of the kid. When they start discussing about money in front of the kid, this is also a very, very wrong thing to do, in my opinion and in my experience, because I have personally experienced that. And it's really, really difficult for the kid, for example, to ask for money from the other parent. It's something that it makes the kid feel very, very bad. And another important point I think that the parents have to keep in mind is that the kids, they will try to please both of the parents because they are feeling confused and they don't know what to do because they are feeling exactly in the middle of the situation. And they love both parents. And actually, these are the most important people in their life. So they don't know what to do. It's not, they cannot accuse the dad or the mom because it's easy to accuse your wife or your husband, but it's not easy to accuse or to hate your parents. So the parents should get in their kids' shoes and also understand that the kids will try to please both of them. They will say a different thing to one parent and a completely different thing to the other parent. So when the two parents sit for example, in a mediation table, they will have a completely different reality in front of them. and they will believe that this is true. The problem is that in the end, they will don't know what the kids really need and what he or she really wants.
Oh, there were so many things, and I mean, there's even though I know your story, and thanks for sharing that to all the our people who are listening to us, and the replay, it still touches my heart. Hearing your story, how you've been already at that point in time, at the age of 10, you were the mediator. Now you are a mediator in
Yes.
profession. And then the acquisitions and the money. There's so many things, and I've actually where to start. But maybe I'll take it. Let's see how this lands, right, Rita? But I actually want to explore from a different perspective because, first of all, it's so important to understand, and that is what you help. You're doing amazing. Your message and your vision is so important, because you channel out all the children in the world. There's tons of children who are victims of adults who cannot, I must say, cannot behave decently, right? Suddenly they're stuck in this negative hole of negative emotions, of grief, of lost hopes, of feelings. It's all, the sea is so, what do you say in English? But it's so black, and it's so everything. I don't have the right words, but it's
Yes,
like
they cannot handle the situation.
exactly.
They
And then
feel many times also, sorry, they are feeling also that they didn't, they didn't achieve something because they are feeling as a failures many times because the
exactly.
marriage didn't work.
Yeah, so that's why I want to let's. I would really like. We have not discussed where we're gonna go, but I really would like us to explore that, because I don't think I'm the only one having sit in this experience. But then, all right. But when you are in the middle of it, if you're in the middle of it, and your environment is so toxic, and you don't respect each other, and you just this verbal abuse. I've been verbally abused, right? And you received the money. How? What now you've been and you're helping so many families in this, what could be a trick where we say, okay, Camilla, if you're in it again, what do you tell yourself? What do I tell myself? So I lift myself up like bigger than situation, so I actually take care of the child, so my child is not being the mediator. I do also have clients in that, so I'm just really curious to hear how you help your
Well, I
clients in
think
this.
that yes, in mediation, I don't we usually don't give advice as you do,
No.
but what I'm asking for from the parents, if I have the possibility, because many of them they don't really leave you the possibility to give advice, but in most of the cases, what I would like to tell them is to go to therapy and to come to the mediation after they have worked these issues, because it's very, very important to work with you first before they sit on the mediation table. So they will have elaborate their feelings. They would be able to not to respond when a toxic phrase or a toxic behavior comes. So they will be able, and they will, if they work with you, I believe that they will have the weapons and the ability to change and not to react to this behavior, to understand that this is something that it's related only to the other person. He or she feels hurt, that's why he's doing it. It has nothing to do with me, so I can leave the room, for example, and not respond to this.
Oh yeah, I love that, and so like, thanks for linking again to therapy. It's like, so to those who are listening to us, we haven't discussed this, but that is so important, and so there are so many people out there who's also going to the mediation. And I was just thinking, preparing for our conversation, is that there's such a big undiscovered area here, and I think it was so good that you say it's about don't react to a situation, respond consciously to the situation, and that is where I help my clients increase their awareness. And I can see as you talk and get your points, it's like, all right, but once you have healed, even though you have to heal in the moment, right? And you really have to work on yourself. But then it makes it much more valuable, or maybe go back to the mediation table, because
Mhm.
then you will get results that not only serves you, your ex, but as much as your children. That is our goal.
Yes, because many times when they are coming in mediation, they are so angry with each other, and they are saying, for example, okay, I will do whatever it takes, or I'm doing everything for my kids. Is the other parent that is not cooperating? And you understand that this mediation will not go very well. Because if they don't have the peace to understand that they need to come close to each other and not to try to hit each other when they find the possibility, they will never be able to discuss. So I believe that if they come, for example, in therapy for 5 6 sessions before the mediation, and they understand how they feel, and they elaborate that they are feeling angry, they are feeling hurt, and they need to leave all this out of the mediation table and get in their kid's shoes and see how my kid feels if he hears me saying, for example, that, oh, I hate your dad, or your dad did everything, and I do everything for you, and your dad is the problem. Then they will be able to discuss.
Yeah. And you will, and it's so true, because that's what I teach my clients to do, is like, heal first, and you don't get anything anywhere, you don't receive get any good results by judging, by blame gaming. It's really about working inwards. Where you hurt, where have you lost dreams, what, right, do you feel hopeless, distressed, and get that on, heal that, work on that, and then go back in and have a conscious, open conversation with the children in mind.
Yes.
uh, so if we tune back into your story, because you are such an inspiration, if we got into your shoes, what was most difficult when your parents had this toxic co-parenting relationship?
The accusations were the most difficult. I mean, I have heard many times my mom saying, for example, that your dad abandoned you for another woman. Because actually, in my case, the divorce started, the process started when my dad found a third person. But the
Mm.
problem was that I couldn't realize at that moment that my dad didn't abandon me, but he abandoned his marriage. Or I have heard many times from my dad that, for example, that your mom destroyed everything because she was making more money than me. So I again couldn't understand that. The problem is that I kept that in my mind, and for many years I was afraid that if I make more money, I will destroy my marriage. These are
Such.
all
Mm.
things that if when the parents are saying certain things, they don't realize how much will affect the kids and how much they will carry all these things when they will become adults. And if they don't work with you, the therapy generally, it's for me it's 100% sure that the child will have to go to therapy when will be an adult.
Yeah. Oh, you're just, sometimes it's like on these slides, it's like, I don't know what is coming, but you're just hitting really hard, because it is so true. Like, making more money it can destroy my marriage. Just like that is what we call in coaching limiting belief, and we all have limiting beliefs from our childhood, and that's often what can also be a key foundational platform to work off, or heal, because that will sometimes sabotage how you show up today, or maybe you don't want to get into a relationship, for example, or you don't want to have a great career, because what if, right? All these limiting beliefs, it's so important, and we have more limiting beliefs than we are aware of if we don't work with a therapist. And I don't believe that any of us here is in the adulthood, um, or we will say it differently. I think that we all have limiting beliefs, but those limiting beliefs were set because to protect you, right? but it's not protecting you, and that's why it's so important to heal.
No.
So how did you? What was? When did you come to this crossroad where you said, okay, something has to be done differently in order for me to live a better life?
Well, I realized at some point in my life that I need help because I saw that I couldn't have a long relationship, and I was also couldn't stay for a long time in a job. So I understood that something was wrong. Also because I didn't have the money I want, the life I want, and all the things that I wanted. So I asked for help, and I followed a very specific. I'm still working with. I am in a program, and I have done therapy for many years, and this helped me understand all my limited beliefs, my paradigms, and all the things that are not working. And I understood actually that what my dad was saying at that moment about money, it was his fear and his insecurity that he was trying to transfer to me in a way, not willingly, because most of the times the parents, they don't it's I am sure that they don't want to hurt the kids, and they are doing the best they can, but just the fact that they haven't worked with themselves doesn't help them handle certain situations and understand certain behaviors. So for me, the most important is to ask for help. And your program is amazing, and the work that they will do with you will help them so much after that, that it's, I mean, they can't even imagine how a co-parenting plan will be completely different if they work first with you.
Yeah. And that is so true. Sometimes I'm kind of speechless because it's just really this ask for help is so important. And the reason why I have kind of left the corporate world to go into this life saving and great helping people getting a better life is that are so many. We know there are so many people out there or couples who decouple, and they decouple on their own. And we know that many couples, many relationships or marriages, whatever, they have kids. And if you decouple without help, you can just double the number of how many souls are being affected. And that's why this asking for help, that is my vision to scream out loud to the world that we know that divorce is the second highest stressor any human being can experience. So if we as adults don't get help, how can we on earth help our children? And so if you are not as strong to reach out for help, right? Because you have experienced a lot since you were 10,
Yes.
you would have been a different state. But now you're creating such an important path as well. And I hope with so many people listening to our what we talk and the replay, that there are adults as well out there who's being victims of their parents' bad relationship and maybe still, or maybe divorce, but haven't healed from that trauma. I haven't healed that trauma.
Yes, because if you don't ask for help, you will never handle anything alone. It's such a difficult thing to do, and you never understand how easy you say something to your kid, and you think that it's nothing, but it can affect him or her. You can't understand how easily you can affect a kid with a phrase or with a behavior. Even if it's a small one, it can affect a lot and have an impact to the kid that it will create problems in the future.
Hmm.
And this is also the, I mean, I, as you know, I have tried to put all my experience in the book, The Mom, Dad, Can You Hear Me? Because actually, I wanted the parents to understand and to try to get in the kids' shoes, because I am sure, and from what I have seen in mediations and in the court, I mean, in the court, a judge, I know that a judge in 2 hours cannot really understand how a family works, what they need, what are the balances, and only the parents know exactly what is best for their kids. And if you really want the best for your kid, you need to work with yourself first.
Yes, because that is so important. And that is, you don't know how powerful our conversation. You probably can feel it in your body.
Yeah.
But this is a very powerful and I hope a shifting perspective on asking for help. You cannot help other people unless you are helped yourself.
Yes. You
And we
need to be
actually,
calm with yourself, to understand that you did the best you could, that you are in contact with your feelings, because if you are not in contact with your feelings, you can never handle a situation. And after that, you indirectly we will also help your kid. But for me, for example, the most something that makes me feel bad still after 40, not 40, 30 years after the divorce, it's the fact that my parents still they cannot be in the same room. And this is bad because for all the kids, it's important if the parents can at least discuss. Of course, I'm not talking about cases hard like with violence or abusive relationship, but I'm talking about high conflict divorces where the parents they are fighting and this kind of things, not abuse, which is something out of discussion, of course. But in these cases, the kids they would like the parents to be able at least to discuss.
but another thing actually to broaden it, like, my story, but that's a verbal abuse. My daughter has been verbal abused, but she still asks when she's ready, mommy. Then she said, can dad sleep with us for 4 days? I'm not quite sure. I'm gonna meet that request. But her need and her desire to have mom and dad in that same room is so it's so much lives in her, and I don't think we should ignore that ask. Like, you
Mm.
still have it, right? You still have it,
Yes,
and
I
you
mean, I
miss
don't want them to be together, but at
no.
least to be in the same room and to be able to discuss. Because every time, for example, my dad calls, I'm still afraid that my mom will know about it, because I always, when my dad was calling when I was young and I was at home, she was asking me, oh, what did you say, and why you didn't say that, why you didn't say the other thing. And if we were going out, for example, she was asking what did he wear, many details that I didn't want to share. So also now many times I'm afraid, even though my mom is not at home with me, that I have my own family, I'm afraid that she will know about it. And she will be, I'm afraid because I know that she will be upset. And I
Hmm.
don't want her to be upset.
No.
And it's so strange. And, it makes me feel sad because they could at least discuss as two human beings that have two child,
Yeah.
two kids.
But here's what I want. We're not going to do any live coaching and not coaching my friends. But here's what I say. Here's where, and I said to myself when I'm in these challenging situations and my clients, and it's like, listen to your heart. What does your heart tell you, and to take back control. And that's so important to take back control, because when we have, and I think that you said you still go to therapy. For me, and I had that mantra many years ago, it's like, I learn every day, I meditate every day, I learn every day, and I grow every day. And I think if we're in that cycle and we believe that, we grow every, like, until we are no longer on this planet, and maybe we grow on
Yes,
another planet. And so it's about really maybe stepping in and take that accountability and take control, and then just do what, follow your heart. That would be
yes,
my most important, as a friend now, is really just friends, right? But it's like, really follow your heart. um but going a bit back, it's like, there are so many people, even like my ex, his parents has been divorced, and they had a very high conflict divorce. And I can just see, kind of, knowing your story as well, the ripple effect if you haven't healed,
hmm
and his parents can be in the same room, but it's kind of not in a nice environment, right?
Mm.
And though, and I, it's like, okay, but it's really, and I really invite you on stage on another time, because it's so interesting is that when we haven't healed our wounds,
Mm.
we don't act with peace and with grace, and we have to fight, right? And we have to be on the alert. But once we are just in peace, we can manage so much more.
Yes, yes. And you need to think that if you are a parent, you cannot divorce from the kid. You divorce your wife, but you are still a parent. So there will be other ceremonies, there will be a marriage, there will be kids, there will be celebrations that you need to be at the same room. Otherwise, it will be really difficult for the kid.
Exactly, and that's why we're gonna do another session on this, maybe bringing other people on, because that is such a uninvested environment or topic about how to help adults actually heal fast and have like look at it for, be in the shoes of your kids, and not being your protective, your king or queen show thing. And I don't want to be with him because he's there. It's like, what the
Exactly.
heck is going on? Where is our ego? This is ego driven. It's nothing else that's
Yes,
going on.
exactly.
Yeah.
This is exactly how my book starts. If you remember that the ego of the two parents grow and they actually drown their child. Yeah.
That was actually a very good ending with the beginning and the end. Yeah,
Yeah.
but there's so much more. And just before wrapping up, it's like that's the reason why we talk about this, to create awareness and help other people out there. We know statistically 55% of all first marriages fail. We know that about 70% of all people who have married or get together on the second try fail. So there are so many people out there who were stuck in a very challenging life situation,
Mm.
and it's about getting help fast, because you invest in yourself and your kids, and nothing more. Is about really helping you get a better life. So, Despina, as before we're wrapping up, how can people get hold of you if they want to know more about of your services and your book and so on?
Yes, the book is on Amazon. The title is Mom, Dad, Can You Hear Me? And it's the divorce through the perspective, the eyes of the kid, as I experienced. But it has a happy ending. I mean, the kid finds a way to help the parents communicate and express to them what is more important for her. So it gives an idea about the feelings and the needs of the kid, and it's important for both for parents and for kids. And if they want to contact me, I have a Facebook account and an Instagram account, and you can find me under the name author Despina Mavridou.
Wonderful, wonderful. And with that, at this point, I think that wraps up our session or our conversation today. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. If you found value in it, please take a moment to drop me a comment, as well as screenshot and share this episode on your favorite social platform or platforms, to help your friends and your loved ones thrive through major life transformations or life transitions. And always remember, as the Spina stories proves as well, happiness is real. Wherever you are in your divorce journey, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And also, if you're a child of a toxic family environment, reach out for help, so that the next chapter of your life can truly be your best one yet. It's my honor to be on your journey to help you and support you through the process. This wraps up today's episode. Remember to tune in daily for inspiration and practical advice, as today, to help you create a more thriving, happy future on the other side of divorce. Bye for now.